Rachel, as always, you have brought us someone who is getting up to some fascinating things. You're always got your finger on the pulse, finding some interesting stories for us. So who have we got today?
Well, as you know, I've not been travelling around as much as I normally can, but obviously things are online. And I heard an incredible story a couple of weeks ago by a gentleman called Darren Gardner, who's going to join us today, in which he was given a heart, really, to cover Coventry, which I don't know if you know, is the city of culture this year, to cover it in prayer. And what I loved about Darren, and he's joining us now to tell his story, is that just how God gave him this kind of vision and how simple it is, but also how overwhelming, and how faithful Darren has been to kind of step up.
Yeah, well, Darren, welcome to the programme. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
So, Darren, before we hear about how God has spoken to you and given you this rather awe-inspiring vision for Coventry, let's find out a little bit about you. So when did God first become significant in your life?
I grew up in a Christian household. So from year dot, I think I remember my first encounter with God when I was about 4, when I'm pretty sure it was like Samuel in my bedroom going, Eli, Eli, or whatever it is. I've got that the wrong way around, haven't I? But it's probably just my dad. But anyway, I associated that with God. So I was very aware of God. I had to be, it was just drummed into you, wasn't it? And I did the whole church sort of thing, and then Nicky Cruz came to speak in Coventry, and I suppose that was the first time I was 12 years old where I was just completely smack bang in the middle of the face about the love of God and the grace of Jesus.
Wow.
And so, I publicly said, right, yeah, I want to believe this for myself, independent of my parents. And then your faith develops and takes shades of that over time, doesn't it? And I remember then I was doing A-level RE, and I was studying Dietrich Bonhoeffer and Karl Barth, and, completely blown away about grace and cheap grace and costly grace. And then I went travelling around Australia, and I discovered women, wine, and cars that shine, and then kind of fell away a little bit until one day when I was 21, I kind of still believed. I wasn't sure, and I came downstairs. I'd just woken up, came downstairs. I sat on the edge of my sofa and said, "Look, I've got to make a decision, and I'm gonna go for it. I'm not sure about church, but I'm pretty sure about you." And literally about 5 minutes later, I got a phone call from my mate, Greg. He said, "Right, we're gonna go and do a mission in this part of Coventry. It's the worst part of Coventry. It's called Wood End, and we've got a whole week of doing stuff. And are you in?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm totally in." And so I did. And then it was there that I met my wife Kate, and on that mission. And then, as a result, long story short, we decided that we were going to get married, and we were going to move into this estate, and there we lived for 12 years. And I suppose that's where, for me, from the age of 21, I'm now 42, it became less about kind of church and services and all that kind of stuff. And this is where the rubber hit the road. And I guess that's I've tried to live in that kind of vein ever since. Yeah. Not particularly successfully.
Well, I guess that's all we're trying to do, isn't it? Is try and be faithful to the gospel as much as we can, and tripping and falling along the way, and just saying, right, we're going to get back up again. Now, it sounds like you were kind of really thrown in the deep end there, Darren. Did you have any sense that maybe you would go into ministry, or did you think, right, there's a particular career path that I've got in mind?
I'm wrestling with that all the time, and it's fair to say I've put my hat in the ring a few times to become a vicar in the Church of England, and I think they've seen good sense. I've not, that door has not been opened, but I'm training to be a lay reader, which is kind of like an assistant, I guess, to the vicar.
Yeah, fantastic.
It means I can do everything except for marry and baptise people and do the communion bit. So if somebody dies, I can do the funeral. So yeah, and I kind of yes, I suppose I'm doing that, but I have a day job, and the day job is kind of working in the electric vehicle industry and climate change, and that feels like the outpouring, the outworking of one's faith.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need people, in all of these different fields as well, who are Christians, who can spread the good news. That, in a sense, is a mission field as well, isn't it? As much as the other things that you're doing along the side. 100%. So it's very important. So earlier on, Darren, when we first started our conversation, Rachel mentioned that God had spoken to you and given you a vision for Coventry. So tell us how all this came about.
Well, so I'm not a vicar. I'm not particularly. I am deeply spiritual, but I suppose I'm probably just like you and all the regular listeners. I'm just doing my best, and I work with a guy called DX at our place of work, and I work for a big multinational energy company, and on my first day. It turns out DX is a Christian, I'm a Christian, and we're in the same team, and wow, I can't believe it. And then a couple of years later, I've been at this place for nearly 4 years, we go on annual leave, and I'm reading Red Moon Rising by Pete Gregg, and he's reading the other one.
God on Mute, or
no.
Is it, Pete Gregg's written quite a lot of books.
The other one was basically it's the sequel to Dirty Glory, or the other way around. And I come back from work, and I don't know he's reading Pete Gregg. He doesn't know I'm reading it. And I come back after a couple of weeks and said, DX, I've been reading this incredible book about prayer. It's the engine room of the church. If you want to see transformation in the church and in our world, then it starts and ends with prayer. Beginning, middle, and end. Job done. That's all we actually need to do, because it's God's mission, not ours. And all we need to do is pray and simply join in. And it was like, no way! I've been reading the same book, or book by the same author. So we kind of pray. I mean, we prayed together anyway, but we were praying about that, and we were walking around the grounds of where we work, and we were like, what do we do with this? And we were like, I don't know. And so we parked it for a while, and we both got really busy, but it was still in the back. It was still in the background, And I think probably at that time, prayer and more deeper prayer was being birthed in me, certainly in that sort of fallow period, and. Then Coventry was awarded City of Culture, and I remember walking with DX, and we were like, "Nah, can't be." And we were just like, "What if we were called as a city to pray every single minute of every single hour of every single day for a whole 365 days, aligned with the City of Culture dates?" And we were like, no, this is mental. Because
big undertaking.
We're not. And remember, we're not like a Moses or Elijah. We were just regular dudes trying to, put one foot forward.
Deal with electrical vehicles, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so we talked to a few people, and we're like, we've had this kind of, we think it's from God, we're not sure, and maybe you should be the ones to take it forward. So we kind of spoke to some of the bigger churches in Coventry and the bishop, and every single time it kept coming back, well, yeah, we think you're right, but we think it's you that's meant to do it. And so we thought, okay, well let's try it. Let's try it for a week in March. And so we were joined. So we did a whole 24/7 in March. And we had about 99 people involved and 20 odd churches.
Wow. That just shows that God's hands on it, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you were going to try and sort of orchestrate that in human strength, that would take a lot of effort to try and get so many people on board, wouldn't it?
I mean, no offence. I'll DX, I'm sure, is brilliant. For me, I am not organised. I have no money. I'm not administratively gifted. We set up this week worth of prayer on a Facebook page in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we got 100 people and 20 odd churches saying, yeah, we're going to pray. We filled every single slot, and everyone was posting on the Cov 365 Facebook page, which people can go and join, and just the encouragement, the words of knowledge and what people were praying for was just incredible. And at the end of that, we were like, do you think we should do this for a whole year? And we asked some people to pray, and we finished on the Sunday, and I went out for a drive. I don't know where I was going, and I pulled in a retail park, and right in front of me was a big display, and it said, "Something incredible is coming to Coventry. Join in." And it was, and I hadn't realised it was a City of Culture billboard. And I'm like, okay, all right.
You go get the message.
Yeah, get the message. So we decided to do it, and now we've got 300, I haven't checked, 330 active Facebook prayers, if you like, plus, you know, probably the same again of people who just aren't engaged in social media. And we've been praying 24/7 for now 4 weeks. So we're about to finish week 4, about to start week 5. Now, not every slot gets filled, most of them do. And the 24/7 structure is just exactly that. It's a structure that says, you know, it gets people to pray. You know, and there's a call that says, okay, there's a 2 o'clock in the morning slot filled. Is God knocking on your door to get on your knees and pray? Now, if that structure wasn't there, perhaps people wouldn't do that. Now, but we're not... the structure is the structure. That's not the thing. The thing is that we pray and we turn up the temperature of the church.
Amen.
And,
Amen. Gosh, it's going to be exciting to see what impact it's going to have on Coventry in a year's time, isn't it? When all these churches and individuals are praying. Well, yeah. It's just absolutely amazing. If you just switch on your radio and wonder what's going on, Darren Gardner is our guest here on Faith, Hope and Love. And he's been sharing, you know what, I'm just an ordinary guy, you know, working with electrical vehicles, thinking about climate change. And here, God suddenly speaks to both him and his colleague about the importance of prayer. I think maybe God is calling them to initiate, to instigate, to establish, to set up, you know, this kind of chain of prayer across Coventry. One thing leads to another, and everything seems to point back to God asking them to be the ones to lead it. And as time's gone on, lots of churches, lots of individuals have got on board, and just amazing. And obviously great to hear that Darren is being faithful to this, because otherwise it can get a bit overwhelming if you start to look at all the practicalities as to what needs to happen to be able to sustain this over this year. And one of the amazing things, as he shared in his story, is this coincided with Coventry being named the UK City of Culture for 2021. So Darren, it's great you've got lots of people involved, but obviously in order to sustain it over the course of a year, I guess you need lots more people as well to get involved. You want this to go across the whole of Coventry. So if there's anyone who's near Coventry, knows someone who's in Coventry themselves, how can they get on board, sign up, support, and get involved in praying?
I guess there are 2 ways. You can join our Facebook page, which I guess is the hub of the community. And I don't know the address, but basically if you go into the search and put in COV 365 and then just join, and there you can see what's going on, and it'll become very clear how you sign up to a slot. If you're not a Facebook user, you can follow us on Instagram, which is COV_365, and our web page is cov365.co.uk. That's cov365.co.uk, and that's just a simple tool. We've got a YouTube video. I mean, it's a rubbish website, but it'll do. It's got a YouTube video that sort of explains the heart of and the vision behind what we're doing, and that's the place where you sign up for a slot. So even if you're not from Coventry, but you might have a heart for the city, or you just might, I don't know, then feel free to pray and pray for the church and pray for the transformation of the city. And we've got incredibly people from Hartlepool praying for us in Rugby, and we've got people in the Black Country and in Stoke praying for us, which is just like pretty awesome. So I guess that's the thing, right? So COV365 Facebook, cov365.co.uk. If you're in Coventry and you don't know, then it would be great for you to, you know, get on board. This is
Brilliant.
City of Culture. But even if you're not, pray anyway. And then the other thing that I would just love to say is that if this inspires other cities to do Scunthorpe 365 or Lewisham 365 or Cardiff 365, then go for it. And I guess you could probably get in touch with us through the website.
Brilliant.
Well.
So COV, COV365, the number, .co.uk to find out more, to either get in touch with Darren or to sign up for this prayer initiative. Thank you so much for inspiring us. Thank you for your yes. I hope all the rest of the training for your, lay readership goes really well. God bless you in all that you're doing, both in your workplace, but also ministry-wise as well. So thank you so much for joining us today, Darren.
Thanks for having me. And grace and peace. Enjoy the weather.
There we are. Darren Gardner just sharing with us about being faithful to the call that God's put on his heart and his friend's heart as well, to be able to lead an initiative of prayer. Well, in just a moment.